The Rooftop Garden in Brisbane, what an amazing place and thoroughly deserved.
It really creates a sense of community in a high-rise building.
As a Brizzy kid growing up, I enjoyed plenty of space, room for decks and pools, and luxurious planting. The question is, how do we translate the Brisbane backyard into our high-rise developments in our cities?
1,500 square metres of subtropical rooftop right in the heart of Brisbane. It is a great view and it's just a great place to spend some time. So we want it to be cool, shaded, lush, and the water plays a really important role in doing that. We've got over 1,000 plants up here, a very relaxed and informal planting palette, no hedges, lots of wild plants, the elephant's ears. The fig trees had to be craned up 15 stories from the street, but well worth it. They provide a lot of shade and also a habitat for birds.
It's pretty remarkable that this is preserved for everyone to use in the communal backyard.
The idea was that we wanted to give something back to people who bought in our buildings. We wanted to be able to create a community and give some of that outdoor space back to each owner and each tenant.
So I heard part of your brief to the landscape architect that this was like going to be the perfect place for date night.
Oh, there might be a little bit of love and romance.
Love and romance, yeah.
Absolutely.
So I can certainly imagine bringing someone up here and them being pretty impressed.
Can you, mate?
So Sean, a sense of community is really important when you're designing a rooftop. We've got a whole range of spaces at different levels, so some of them are private and some of them are more open. We're sitting here alone, there might be only a couple of us, but behind us there could be a party of 200. We've had a wedding up here, and that was a key part of the design. What we're trying to create are two key things. One is a sense of community, which I think we've created, and also a connection to nature. And that's what you're looking for when you're living in an apartment. Hopefully this sets a new benchmark and starts people thinking about potentially what they can do with a rooftop.
This is it, the final two in our top 10.
Shrine of Remembrance, number 2, well deserved.
The judges were all unanimous. The fact that it was such a sensitive subject, handled really, really beautifully by the designers.
The Shrine of Remembrance is a significant place in telling Australia's story. So how do you start with a job this big?
This is called the Garden Courtyard, and it's a space of reflection. You've just come out of the galleries. This is a place to be quiet in a tranquil setting. This is one of 4 courtyards at the Shrine of Remembrance. All of them are exactly the same shape. So the challenge for us was to make each one tell a different story. This particular one that we're in at the moment is telling the story of the Gallipoli Peninsula. So we have olives, rosemary. It feels like a place where you can reflect on the past. This is talking about the Southeast Asian and Pacific conflicts. So we really are in a jungle in this courtyard, right? We have the bamboo, we have walls covered in tropical vines, and then all the materials start to talk about some of those conflicts as well. There's lots of railway sleepers, sort of chunks of metal worked into the seats. The main feature is a series of concrete plinths, like an abstracted jungle ruins where the figures just pulled up the remnants of the temple.
The other aspect of these names, and those names are the towns throughout Victoria where the men and women have enlisted during the Second World War, Vietnam War and Korean War. On our recent garden tour, we did have a Vietnam vet, and he said, yes, it did remind him of that. It gave him a moment to reflect, but above all, he felt it was recognition of his service, and it made him feel loved and wanted in a way that he hadn't before.
Yes, this is a public monument, but what the landscape architects have done so well here is create 4 unique spaces that offer the private moment. They're not just areas to commemorate the war experience, but also to relax and to reflect and to have respite within the broader city of Melbourne.
And now, the #1 landscape architecture project in Australia for the year.
I'm not surprised this project won. It's a great story. It's about us, it's about humans, but it's also about the important role water plays in our lives.
What a fantastic result for Sydney Park. I sort of had guessed it and hoped, and it has come true.
How do you take a disused clay quarry, millions of tonnes of urban waste, and create an inner-city sanctuary where nature and the community can coexist? Well, little Chana and I have come to find out. You ready? Let's go. Go. So we're standing on a pile of rubbish, aren't we?
Yeah, well, we knew what we were in for. We knew it was a former tip site.
Did you find any skeletons in the closet?
Oh, there was car bodies, there was mattresses, all sorts of household items.
So Scott, apart from the surrounding parklands, what are we looking at here? It looks fantastic.
Well, this is actually the end of our treatment system through the park. The first point of call, I guess, in this whole system is the Munai Channel. Water gets extracted, gets fed through some primary pollutant traps. After the pollutant traps, it moves into bioretention systems.
And they're basically big garden beds full of bog plants, or plants that grow in water. And a lot of people don't realise that, you know, plants actually do play a big part in taking up the toxins.
So the water moves down through a series of ponds, and then gets tertiary treated through the UV treatment plant before it gets reticulated through the site. And we worked with artist Turpin Crawford, who came up with an elegant way to tell the water story of the site.
It's a beautiful way to use terracotta, isn't it?
As water moves through our urban environments, treating it wherever we can is a really good thing to do before it reaches our final water bodies. Also, it becomes a fantastic recreational resource for you and your dog. The habitat that we've created in this park has brought in a lot of new wildlife.
That's got to feel pretty satisfying.
As a designer, you'd know that it's a beautiful thing when you have something in your mind and then you can actually physically visit that space that's been built and created. And there are moments in the park here where, you know, we've created nature.
Taking on a derelict site with tons of city regulations and environmental requirements to create a pollution solution across 42 acres of gorgeous garden for Sydney is something that this design team should truly be proud of.